Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day we have here in Chautauqua County with the sun beaming down and temperatures are supposed to go up to 50 tomorrow. Right now, as I was coming over, 26 degrees. Can you believe it? This is April. We're supposed to have some springtime here. Well, it'll come someday, guys. I promise you that. But hold tight. Hold tight. I had to actually borrow some wood for my wood burner because it's going on and on and on, and I ran out. Okay, guys. It's a terrific time here in the county. The ice fishing is about done, I think, because it's getting a little bit dangerous out there, and the snowmobiling. And I want to thank a couple of people. I want to thank Ed Besch of the insurance company in Westfield there. He's given us another grant, and thank you very much, Ed. That's very kind and generous of you. And I wanted to thank the Lakeview Diner. They have a nice place over there. You know, the Lakeview, it's the foot of the hill in Mayville. I went over there for dinner the other day, and I had a fish that literally flopped over my plate on both ends, and it was forever. And for a senior, that's 2 meals. You understand that? Plus, they have a salad bar that will never die. It has, I think, 150 different things in it or something like that, but there's a lot of different foods, vegetables and sauces and blue cheese sauce, you name it. Love it. Thank you, incidentally, Julie Militello. Julie Militello has an antique shop in Westfield down by the Better Baked Foods. And she pointed out that if you carry insurance for long-term care, the state will not grab your home and the rest of your stuff, which would normally go to your children. If you have the insurance and you run out and everything and it becomes a prohibitive, they will still not take your stuff, and they will pay for your Medicare, or Medicaid, I should say, to keep you in long-term care. There is one little hitch, though, and Julie, I want you to check this out. If you have long-term care insurance, sometimes it expires. They will simply not insure you after the age of 80 or whatever it is, and that's when you need it. Or if they do insure you, suddenly they jump the costs for that insurance to prohibitive levels. So make sure your insurance doesn't do this, that it will carry you through at a fair price until the bitter end. Julie Militello. Julie Militello has a beautiful antique shop with a lot of old stuff in it, naturally. And it's right across the street from the Better Baked Foods, and God bless Better Baked Foods in Westfield. That certainly provides a lot of maintenance and taxes and service and the wonderful pizza and breads and things they give to the kitchen, what do they call it, the community kitchen, which is in over the Episcopalian Church across from Easton Hall. And a lot of people get a nice meal over there, and that's partly because of the generosity of Better Baked Foods, which has expanded and is doing very well. That's good news. Provides a lot of jobs too. Okay, so at any rate, enough of that. I have a little bit of stuff here I wanted to tell you about. We have some local news, and of course the federal news, the stuff you see on TV now. Since it's all owned by the corporations, you don't see much about the wars that are killing our kids right and left. And it looks like, gee whiz, that North Korea guy, that guy's kind of cuckoo, I think. He's just a kid, but wow, the way he's threatening the United States, and he does have nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, and he'd be lucky if someday they don't just go in and carpet bomb him, all his military establishments. It's becoming very, very scary, we'll put it that way. Not only for us, for Japan, for China, for the South Koreans. You don't know what this guy could do. Mr. or whatever his name is. He's crazy as hell, I think. So we got to watch him closely. In Washington, of course, the same old nonsense going on. And again, according to the new budget, they're going to throw the seniors completely under the bus this year. $2 trillion almost coming out of your Medicare. $2 trillion nearly. And they're going to cut Medicaid sharply, which, again, half of Medicaid is needy seniors. Not to mention the fact they're going to cut your Social Security. They've got a new way of figuring the COLA, cost of living. Well, the last cost of living use of the COLAs, which is, it's going to be less COLA this year when they reinvent their figures to show even less and less inflation. It'll cost the average senior $600, they say, in Social Security. Well, you've lost half your Social Security in the last 10 years anyway because of the false figures that they're using for the COLA. And seniors, you better get up, raise up, and vote as a bloc and start throwing these people out of office, because basically they're picking the senior population and devastating our rights. And it's about time we did something about it. Contact Tom Reed, I might add. He's our local congressman. Enough said. That makes me nuts. The way they're just slaughtering the seniors. Brockton, Portland Seniors does a good job. And they had a visitor recently from Heritage Ministries. And they have a program for the new view on aging. You're going to have better health and better thought processes if you follow their program. You might look them up online. Again, the Heritage Ministries in Jamestown. Very interesting possibilities. You know, you can keep younger if you know what you're doing. Marmaduke Fund over there in Brockton, they need some dough. They're going to use it for the arches and possibly. And thank God for Brad over there. Marmaduke. Brad Anderson did a fantastic dog show, that Marmaduke thing, and he's a very sweet guy. I met him one time, not too long ago, and they need donations, and the arch, which is being painted now, you know, that big arch in the center of Brockton, which is famous. I mean, it's been there for, I don't know, since the Indians lived here. It's been there a long time. And they took it down, they painted it, they cleaned it. It was rusty, it was a mess. And thank Mayor Hazelton doing the job over there. And they're going to be setting up a Marmaduke statue over there too somewhere. All right, enough said on that one. They tell me, hurry up, your time is running out already. And we've got Marianne Spanos coming on, who's my favorite Grecian guest. You know, I used to say Greek guest, but that's not correct. The proper usage of the word Greek is if it's an adjective, it's Grecian, like the ode to the Grecian urn. So I've got to remember that when I talk to her. Great Bell seniors, they have regular exercise classes. You might check them out. Look them up online and get in touch with them. Yoga, line dancing, all kinds of exercise programs. And that, again, is how you keep yourself together, you know, especially with the yoga and the walking exercise. They even have, you know, they have chair exercises, too, whereby you can just sit in your chair and work out, do an aerobic exercise. Broadway Market, great place to go. You're on such a trip coming up. Great Bell seniors. Lakeshore seniors, they meet at the Dunkirk Senior Center, and they have a beautiful place over there, an old school. It's got everything for everybody, even a running, they have a beautiful, through the halls, a route to run. You can do laps over there. They do bridge, they do pinochle, all kinds of card games. It's a great bunch. Mayville has a terrific bunch over there. And the chaplain, Diane Goodrich, asked a blessing for the meal because they have a meal every time. You bring your own dish to pass, you bring your own silverware, and away you go. Everybody has a wonderful meal and a great time. Gene Kelsey, who's related to a certain Kelsey that runs this program here, runs this TV program, which is, he's a terrific guy, and I'll tell you something. Chuck Kelsey invented television. Yeah. At least around here he did. Joyce Ayers is the president over there in Mayville. You might check her out if you want to join the crowd. They have a huge number of people there, and it's a great bunch. All right, enough said about that. Mark Carmel is over in Silver Creek, and they have two groups in Silver Creek that are very active. The Silver Creek seniors, and Ed Newman does the job over there. He provided some gifts for them, and he had a new glass ornamental cross made, and it's beautiful, they say. I'd like to see it. The pieces were from an old window at the senior center, and you know, you can recycle stained glass windows. And if you notice, most churches have a plastic shield in front of their stained glass windows because they're worth thousands and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, and they're pieces of art that are a century old, many of them, in old churches. And unfortunately, vandals break them, and they're irreplaceable. So they put, if you go by a church that has stained glass windows, you see a big plastic shield in front of all of them, just to protect them. Sinclair 76ers, you know, they deliver meals on wheels. Yeah. They cook them over the fire hall, and God bless the fire halls around here and the fire departments. And they deliver in the Cassadaga Valley area. And one or two more items here. Great Belt seniors. They have a Seneca casino trip coming up. Most people do, senior groups do go to the casinos. And you get, it's a good deal because you get basically free transportation to the casino and back. And they give you some chips. And it's very inexpensive because the chips balance out your bus fare. And then you get a free lunch, which balances out the bus fare. Usually get a lunch chit. So you can't go wrong. I mean, these are basically free trips, and you have a wonderful time. Don't gamble, though. Take the money they give you, your chips, run them through. If you double them, walk away. If you lose them all, walk away. Don't stand there and continue to gamble, or they will get your shirt and your pants and your shoes. Oh, well. Sheridan Happy Seniors, they have a song, they gotta come over here. Pop on dinners every time. And if you're interested in going on a lovely trip, which is very inexpensive, Viddlers, you know Viddlers, it's got a million different gifts in it. It's very, very, it's a famous place. All right, enough said. They're telling me I'm already over time. I've got a public service announcement for you, and then we shall move right along with John Hamels. Here we go.
Welcome to Cook It Safe Challenge, where teams compete to make the right decisions about safe food preparations. Our challenge in this round, read and follow package cooking instructions and use a food thermometer. Let's see how our teams are doing so far. Team 1.
We just got 100 points.
We separated our raw food from our cooked food.
Team 2.
We got a 100-point green card for proper hand washing before our meal prep.
We've reached a critical safety point in the challenge. Okay, Team 1, let's check this out. Uh-oh, not a safe internal temperature for those hamburgers. That puts everyone at high risk for foodborne illness. You get a red card, undercooked. Always read and follow the package cooking instructions and use a food thermometer. Let's see how our winning team cooked it safe and avoided problems.
Well, I just kept focused on the 4 food safety steps: clean, separate, cook, and chill.
And we followed the package cooking instructions and took the temperature.
Can you cook it safe?
And as I said, Marianne Spanos will be here, I hope. In the meantime, we will talk about some interesting senior advice. And this is from our Nola. We don't have the geezer anymore, you know, he retired. So now we just have Doc. Here you are. Doc, you're on.
Just the Doc. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Reed. Well, Reed, I got a bunch of things I want to talk about, just little things. But first of all, I want to do a shout out to one of our fans who came by here last week. And unannounced, I was very pleased and surprised that she brought me this tie, and it's a little hard to see, but it's like a piano and it has piano notes on there. And I would have sent you a note, but I didn't have your address, so I want to publicly thank you for coming by and give me this, and I'm going to wear this in good stead. I just got to find a musical event that I require a shirt and tie. Excuse me, I'm dropping my props here.
Well, and you play the guitar and sing.
Guitar, mandolin, yep. And but it's a great tie, and put it in my collection. And when I was superintendent, I think I had about 100 different ties. But like everybody else, you know, there's about 10 ties that you wear out of the whole crew.
When I was a dad, I got 1,000,000 ties. Too.
Right. Yeah. Father's Day, you always seem to get those. Reed, I was going to tell you about a couple other things. The guys here really did a great job. They do some filming from time to time. I think it's called Destination Chautauqua. It's a series of films, and we did the 4th of July last year, just before the Thunder Boomers came. And this past Saturday, they came down to the Children's Safety Village, and they were covering the parade and the ID program with the Masons from Chautauqua County. And if you don't have the opportunity, so far, I'd encourage you to go on YouTube and look up Chautauqua Destination, or Destination Chautauqua, and see if you can find the parade at the Safety Village. We just see a lot of really neat things, and we figured 1,500 kids and something like 3,000 people showed up for the parade, so it was pretty phenomenal. By way of announcement, on May 11th, if you want to mark your calendars down, it's the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club auction. It's been going on for years, and it's going to be held this year at Easton Hall. It's change of venue. The pierogi ladies bought out the Westfield Exempt Fireman Hall.
Oh, that did go through, huh?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge. And they've sold off everything inside there, so we couldn't use the facility. So May 11th, 6 o'clock, I think it is, we're going to have the auction. So I encourage everybody to mark that down and come on out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a barbecue.
What day is May
chicken
11th?
It's a Saturday.
Saturday?
Yep. I think it's $10. You get chicken barbecue dinner, a chance to win $500, and a ticket or your bidding ticket, you know.
And all the beer you can drink, right?
All the beer and soft drinks, absolutely. It's a great time, and we usually have about 200 or 300 people come out. Okay, I think that takes care of those things. And then I was thinking today, I don't know about you, Ree, but every time I turn on the television, it gets worse and worse and worse, and it's just not our country. But you got that, I don't even know what you want to call him. I call him a bully, but he seems like a bully over there in North Korea doing his nonsense. And, you know, trying to scare everybody in the world. He's doing a good job of it, especially the folks that are real close to North Korea. But that's really stressful. And I know that when I talk to a lot of folks that are retired senior citizens, they're really angst about this. They're really upset, and there's this free floating anxiety that comes over you, and you get distraught about the whole thing. Well, there's that old serenity prayer. You can only take care of what you can have control of. Otherwise, you just leave it in the hands of a higher power. Well, that's what I would encourage you on some of these things. It is not much you can do. So maybe get yourself a distraction, and that's what I want to talk about here real briefly. Over the years, Reed, living up on the escarpment in Ripley, I started back in 1999 a little log, just a little empty book where I started writing down every type of bird, variety of bird that came to our feeder outside of our kitchen window. And within, I think it was 2 months, we had 26 different varieties of birds that I had noted. And what I did was I put the date when the bird first showed up, which not very scientific because they could have been there and I just hadn't seen them yet. But the whole point was, over the course of about 10 years, I would go back, and those birds, those rose-breasted grosbeaks would come in right around whatever was May 4th, or the scarlet tanagers would show up at a certain time, or whatever it was, and they come in pretty regularly on their schedule. I know it's weather-based, and I'm not a professional ornithologist or expert on birds, but what a fun thing to do is just start writing down and logging birds as they come to your house. And if you don't know too much about birds, I encourage you, just go out and go to your favorite bookstore, and you can buy a manual on eastern birds. And our own Roger Torrey Peterson put out a great manual here. And I don't know, they're probably this one's about $16, $17. A lot of times you can go to, thanks Randy, you can go to garage sale and pick one up for next to nothing, and you learn about their nesting habits and when they breed and the things they like to eat. And Reed, I don't know about you, but the birds on my hill are different than the birds down here or down where you live. For instance, there's certain birds that will come through along the lake that will never come up on the escarpment, and vice versa. And so it's fun to compare notes. And I want to tell you one real quick story. We have a variety of woodpeckers that always hang out around the house year-round. Well, this year, for the first time ever at our feeder, we had a pileated woodpecker. And his claim to fame is he was what the cartoonist based Woody Woodpecker on. Well, this bird is about 16, 18 inches tall. It's huge. And I'm looking out the window, and this big bird's looking at me, and the wind's blowing the comb on his head and the feathers, and they make the craziest sound. I can't imitate it, but it's like a warbly, crazy sound. And there he is with all his glory, and then his wingspan's got to be like 24 inches or something. It's huge. But to see this bird at the bird feeder for the first time, it's breathtaking. Or when first time you'll see it indigo bunting at the feeder, this bird is totally blue. It's gorgeous. So you get stressed out watching the news, get yourself a book, tablet, start a bird feeder. Oh, that's always a good thing too. But this year, the robins weren't the first bearers of spring. It was the red-winged blackbirds. We just had a whole crew of them up there. But if you have a bird sighting, you call in, and I'll announce it here on the show or whatever. But do something fun. Get relaxed. Don't get too worked up. I know my mom always worried about the world events, and I used to tell her to get a distraction, bug dad or something. Back to you, Reed.
Okay, thank you for the thought. The Chautauqua County Audubon Society keeps track of birds, and you can call in and tell them what bird you saw, and they compile a record of all those birds. And it looks like John and I are going to be talking a little bit more about some of the wonderful things that are going on. He'll be back in a short while. I wanted to say, incidentally, that the bird population is a little different. We get birds. We get turkeys. Believe it or not, turkeys are everywhere in the county now. And the coyotes are having a feast. When the turkeys are very small and young, there's a very short time when they have trouble flying, and they are definitely prey for the turkeys. The turkeys are prey for the coyote population, which just gobbles and eats them and has a great time.
Here's a meditation if you want meditation.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have a quiet period of time. Give yourself a little meditation every single day of the year. Maybe it's just 5 minutes. Maybe it's a half hour, an hour even. And just clear your mind, relax, let it, just happy thoughts pass through. I'm going to give you a little shot of that. Here you go. Those are raccoons, in case you didn't know. And I want to thank John Hamels for the beautiful photograph. Those were out in your house.
That's got to be from our house.
Yeah.
We were out last spring, and I just happened to be walking by our blueberry patch, and I see something in the corner of my eye, you know, like when you first see like a fuzzy woolly bear, you know, just fuzz. But this was big, and I look inside there, and there's 3 baby raccoons piled on top of each other, and the top of the bush is going like this, and I'm going like, what in the world? So I called Barb out, and I think she even snapped that picture, and but it was amazing. But that's just all part of that wildlife thing that we have all around us here in Chautauqua County all the time. It doesn't take much to go looking.
It's part of the I don't know, the syndrome of living in the country. There's a whole thing about that that is different from living in the city. I mean, it's totally out of sight compared to the city living. If you ever get out there, you'll see turkeys. You know,
oh yeah,
turkeys all over the place. Now, before, as I mentioned, they're kind of coyote bait now.
Well, you know, about a week ago, when there was still snow on the ground, I took Max, my dog, out, and we were just doing the usual out in the woods because we've got a bunch of acres there. And I'm looking down on the ground, looking at these prints, and I'm going like, those aren't deer, those aren't dog, and they were about, you know, this long, and it was turkey.
Huh.
They're not about that big, and I'm going like, I didn't realize their feet were that big, but it was amazing, and there was just a whole crew of them that had come through.
Yeah, they seem to go traveling 20 at a time.
Right,
you know?
and you know, we've lived on the hill there for over 25 years now, and they have a regular traditional pattern, just like you see deer run. Well, it's like a turkey run. They come across the street from my neighbor's, right over the front of his property, across the road, and up the exact same spot year after year after year. It's really interesting.
And they do that daily. Turkey hunters are aware of that. When they wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is go get water. So if there's a pond nearby, in the morning, early morning, if you hang out there, you may just bag a turkey.
That's interesting.
And then after that, they start at the high end of a slope and eat their way down. And then in the evening, they flock together.
Up into the trees.
Go into the trees, and you hear them chattering away up in the trees often.
Have you ever walked in the woods and you scared or got a turkey moving? The sound of their wings flapping, it scares you.
It's thundering.
It's thundering. It's right in your chest. It's so loud. And years ago, I had another little dog. It was just a little Maltese, and I was taking him for a walk down below in the brush, and all of a sudden he's going nuts. I'm going like, what? And then I hear this. He's taking out this turkey, and I'm pulling him back, and I thought he was gonna, forget about it. And then he starts heading back again. Get over here! That thing's gonna eat you alive.
Yeah.
But those turkeys, they got to be like 3 feet tall. They're a lot bigger when they're not all dressed out.
yeah, especially if they fluff their feathers out. My God, they become enormous. And the tom turkeys are pretty tough. They're not going to fool around.
But you know, when you see them, when they've got their fantail all out there and those beards and everything, they're phenomenal birds.
Right. You see that in the spring, especially when they're mating. They strut, and they're just gorgeous. And they're not much. Well, you know, a lot of people hunt turkey now up here. They used to hunt pheasant, and they released pheasants, but they stopped releasing them for the most part. They still release a few.
Right.
And the pheasants, unfortunately, they nest pretty much in the open. And the skunks, the possums, the coons, all the animal life around here eats them up. They're eggs, if nothing else. So they don't do well in reproducing in the area. So then up came the turkey. Now, we hadn't had turkey. When I was a kid, there were no turkeys. Nobody heard of a turkey. And suddenly they started to move in from Pennsylvania. I think they also planted a few up here.
Could be, yeah.
And now, incidentally, if you want a good turkey, a tasty turkey, go down to your local supermarket. The turkeys you get in the wild are gamey.
Yep.
They're tough, real tough. And are they a job?
Totally different diet.
And are they a job to clean? I'm telling you, taking the feathers off, dry plucking a turkey, oh my God, forget it.
Did you ever raise chickens? I did it a couple of times. That's an interesting process.
You boil the feathers off, and it makes them come right off.
It opens the pores up and pops right open.
And they pop open.
Wow.
And doing a goose or duck, though, that's a job, because you can't just dip them into hot water. The feathers are waterproof, and so the water doesn't get in to loosen the feathers. Right. The only way you can beat a migratory game bird is you have to put some paraffin in your boiling water. Then you pull it up slowly through the paraffin, and it dries as a coat. Then you can take the feathers off in a big mass. But it's still forever and ever and a day.
Stick the chickens.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's just not, it's counterproductive. There's very little chicken hunting for that reason, too, because you can get them, you know, all done up nice and easy, 88 cents a pound.
Any parts you want.
Yeah.
Thighs, drumsticks.
Yeah, enough said. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you mentioned briefly the village. Now, what is the village, this village you talk about?
Well, the Safety Village is a concept that started back about 1996. Joe Gerasi, the Sertoma Club of Jamestown, they got together and they had heard about this Safety Village concept up in Waterloo, Canada. And what it is, it's a miniature town or village, scaled down, where children go to learn about pedestrian traffic, personal safety, and just a score of other things. And Joe and this group decided that was a good idea. The Celeron American Legion Hall, those folks got involved, and you know, after a long series of permutations of boards and things like that, BOCES was involved, and somehow my boss said, go to this meeting, you represent me, Skip Mino, when he was district superintendent, and I've been on that board for like 16 years or something like that. Anyways, the board of directors over a long period of time in grants and fundraisers and so forth finally established the village. I think it was just a couple years, 3 years ago, I believe, right at the BOCES Center in Asheville, the Hughes Center, and it's on a couple acre site. And the village has a miniature McDonald's, Walmart, a library, and so forth. The Rotary Club put a pavilion and so on. And if you go there, there's a classroom building that has two classrooms. One side they talk about fire safety, and they actually, and I don't want to give away all the secrets of the village, because if you go there you'll be quite surprised. But they run the kids generally kindergarten up through 7th, 8th grade. They've got different activities actually that even include cyberbullying. But anyways, on that particular room, they talk a lot about fire safety and how to have a plan and so forth. But they've got really cool activities. But I can't tell you about it because you got to see it. And sometimes you go down and with your grandkids or something and check it out. The other side, they talk about personal safety like poisons, traffic safety, and things around the house and that sort of thing. Then the kids will go outside, they get in these little miniature, they look like Jeeps, little cars, plastic ones, they're all battery operated. And the kids will go in twos, and they will drive and learn to do stop for stop signs, look for oncoming traffic, and they run the kids through a series of things like that. They have bicycles there for bicycle safety. A lot of times in the summertime, even like the Holly Loft crew, They'll come over and they'll do.
Which group?
I think it's Hollyloft. Don't they do bikes?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's them. They'll come in and do bike inspections or do like a bike rodeo, that type of thing. Community's getting real involved. So long story short, there's all kinds of buildings there. JCC's building a miniature building to represent the community. So it's like going into a small little version of Chautauqua County, and the streets are lined, there's stop signs, there's a 911 place where the kids learn to do a 911 call, they learn how to call in if there's a fire and those kinds of things. And we have on record of a situation where a little girl went to the program and they had a little incident at the home. I think there was a little bit of smoke or fire come up, and she yelled to everybody. They all had their meeting place where they were supposed to go, and everybody was safe and sound and so forth. And the fire department's a real supporter of the program, and it's just a phenomenal place. And if you haven't had a chance, Terry Kinberg is the executive director there, and they're on the internet. It's called the Chautauqua Children's Safety Education Village, and I've been a proud board member of that for a long time.
How much does it cost to go in?
I believe right now that it's $4 for the children to come in for a half-day program per child, and they run about 20 children to the each session. We have people that are trained in either fire safety, education, something related. Right now we've got well, either they're active firemen or they were, they're fire exempt now. But we've had people there. We have one person that's a certified teacher, and she does, certain parts of the program. And then they'll bring in special people like on bullying. We have a horse riding agency. I can't remember their name right now.
Did I tell you how you stop a bully?
Yes, you did. And I'll leave the room when you done. But anyways, they have through the Horse's Eye program, Dawn Samuelson, I can't remember.
What's the Horse's Eye?
Through the Horse's Eye. In other words, she does a program and she creates a situation where the animals are the victims and how they're treated, and how if you treat them this way, this is what happens. If you treat them with kindness and positive energy, this is what happens, and it's a great program. So the Safety Village has been expanding all over the place and doing some really good things. Right now, I can't believe it, she's already talking about getting ready for the Halloween village, Scary Village that we did last year. Remember I was all like a zombie and that sort of thing? And so they're gearing up for Halloween, but that's the amount of time that you have to have for planning to get together. We have hundreds of volunteers that come out and help out.
Good deal. You said you were over there last week. They were having, you said over 3,000 people there?
Yeah, we figured it was about 1,500 kids, and of course they had their parents or chaperones, and so there had to be at least 3,000. And like I said earlier, the guys did a great job filming, and Jeff was taking still shots and things like that, and it's out on YouTube.
You weren't called over there to sing. You did other
No.
What were you doing?
I was with the Masonic ID program.
What is that? I hear about it.
Yeah, it's basically they processed over I was part of the team sometime, but Doug Neal and Carl Kerr, they're real big in this, and they've been for a number of years. The team processed over 3,000 kids, and this is basically what it is. You bring your child in, and this can happen at school, or it can be out at like the county fair or some public event where they'll show up, like at the Safety Village. You fill out the form, it asks information about your child. We weigh the child, measure how tall they are, then take all that information, and a mason or a volunteer is sitting down at a computer. The information is all put into the system. We take a picture of the child's front side inside, and then we have one of those little electronic scanners that takes your fingerprints. No ink or anything involved, and all this information is put into a disk, and then we print up all the information with the fingerprints and the picture of the child. They take it with the disc to another station. They cut the bottom part off of the page, and they make like a little ID card. They laminate it right then and there. So the parent walks away with a disc with all the personal information, health records, or anything they want to tell us about the child, and ID of the child. Now you might say, why would you do that? You ever lose your kid in Walmart? When was the last time you had a current picture of your grandchild that you had in your wallet or your purse when you're on a trip? what were they wearing? Do they have any health issues? I mean, your brain freezes up sometimes, or if you're on a camping trip, the kids wander off, and hopefully nothing serious happens. But we don't have a good ID program for kids.
And it's a good idea.
It's a great idea. And on May 11th, the guys are coming here on the show, and we're not going to talk necessarily about child ID. We're going to talk about adult ID program. Adults with dementia, adults with Alzheimer's, or folks that may have a tendency to be forgetful. They're going to start this program in the county, and this is becoming the statewide model throughout New York.
Well, the village that you were talking about, you said it started up in
96,
Waterloo, right?
The original one, yeah.
In Waterloo. You know, Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, that's where Napoleon took a lamb-basting, too.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't realize he crossed the ocean.
They
smashed him at Waterloo.
In Waterloo, yeah.
You taught English, didn't you? I don't think you did history.
You're saying he didn't make Canada?
Well, it could have been the Vikings, but I don't think it was Napoleon.
Yeah, there was a Waterloo over in, where was it, France or Europe, somewhere?
Oh my gosh, you're asking me. Yeah, no, it's past France. I think it was getting close to the Russian border.
Somewhere over there. And he did take an awful beating there.
Yeah.
That was his end.
No, that's what it's your Waterloo now, right?
Yeah, when they say it's your Waterloo, it means it's where you lost it all. It was over. We're talking to John Hamels, Doc Hamels. He's giving us a little insight on the village, which is a very important function of Chautauqua County. It's a huge place, very well operated.
Right.
Teaches children to be careful. Look both ways before you cross, if nothing else, and watch the left turns and things like that.
What to do if your house does have a fire? I mean, it teaches kids everything they need to know.
Well, one of the things I remember when we did our fire drill, and you mentioned that, is you have to have a place to meet out way away from the house.
Right.
And the minute there's a fire, everybody runs to that place.
Right. And
if somebody's missing, you got a real problem. But if you're all together there, you're not going to spend your life looking for that other person.
Right, because you think they're still in the house and they're down the street or whatever. Yeah, and even agencies and businesses, they have the same process where they'll have an evacuation site where everybody goes. It's just like when you're on a cruise ship, when they do muster and things like that. Everybody goes to a place, an assigned place in case of emergency.
Yeah, well, there's depends on the ship, on the line. Now, Carnival whipped us out in blustery, freezing weather before we left New York City in February, and it was just horrible. It was so cold. And,
I can imagine.
We just had to sit there while they droned on and about their safety regulations and showed you how to put a life.
International law.
Norwegian does it very differently. They take you in a nice, comfortable auditorium. You sit in a plush seat, and they spend about 2 minutes. And they say, you've now had the course, which is required by all ships that are sailing through the United States.
I've gone through that musters thing, and personally, I've not been in the cold, frigid weather, but I don't mind it because it kind of gives me a sense of, okay, I do, well, lately with all the things that are going on with these ships, the last one just got goofed up down wherever it was when they
Triumph,
pinched the tugboat. But what I'm getting at is when you know what to do in case of an emergency, that gives you a certain sense of security. Anyway.
Excepting the crew doesn't.
Which way? I thought we were going that lifeboat.
Scrambling around. No. They're letting ships off, the lifeboats off in the wrong place. But fortunately, most of these cruise ships now have enough lifeboats for a double
more than enough,
number of the people that are on board, including the crew and everybody.
Well, my experience has been the crew really knows what they're doing, and they're very strict. They'll walk around with those little hats and whistles and things like that. Hey, you over here. I go, okay. Don't mess with the little guy.
No, they're very well regulated and run properly.
You have to.
Well, I don't think we've had more than one bad incident with a cruise ship in the last century, and that's a stupid one that flipped over in
that was nutty.
Italy, where the captain was showing off and doing dumb things, and he ran away. Get back here, you coward!
What's going on with the ship, buddy? Oh dear.
At any rate,
but safety is important for everybody, and it's just not for little kids. It's for total families, and like when we built our house, we made sure there was lots of exits, and you know the windows were where they're supposed to be. I know that seems silly, but when we had our house designed and built, and that was one of the things that that I really thought a lot about. In the event of where my kids were.
How to get out, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a fire drill is important.
Sure.
Everybody should take their kids and round them up and say, okay, we're going to have a fire drill today. And everybody runs away. We used to meet at our our mailbox, which was far enough from the house, but close enough. And everybody congregate at the exit place where you get together, and it works out.
Sure.
Tell people how to get out of the house. We had rope ladders.
Oh, yeah.
Up on the second story. I mean, you could have jumped out,
right?
Survived, but toss the rope ladder over and scramble down.
Right, and the thing too is we probably would encourage grandparents to do the same thing if the kids are spending the night or the weekend. Take 5 minutes and say, what if something were to happen and you're sleeping upstairs? What should we do?
Yeah, right.
That does happen because it's just not at your own home.
And large windows are a good idea that you can kick out. You have to. They make a wonderful exit.
Right.
And
I'd rather be cut up than the alternative.
Well, you throw one of the kids on the
throw a blanket over the thing.
On the windowsill, and you climb out over.
There you go.
And then you don't get off. Oh, having a nice chat here, waiting for Marianne Spanos.
Reed, if I could turn the mic and the table around here, I've always wanted to ask you on air because we never really get a chance to talk anymore because I'm always doing my thing, you're doing your thing. But what started this entire senior report program back in the days, as they say? You've been doing this a long time. Well, actually, I've been doing it a long time with you, but not like this.
Well, I started down in New York, Long Island, and I was given an opportunity on one of the local stations on Long Island, which still hit 3 states. I mean,
oh yeah, they're so close.
Big station, a lot of juice, and WNYG it was, and he said, would you like to do a program for seniors or sit in on one and help out? And I said, sure. And before you knew it, I was doing it. Then I started out 15, then 30, then finally an hour. And it was so successful that I ran that thing for, I don't know, a quarter of a century before I retired, came up here. And then I came up here and I was asked if I'd like to do it down in Dunkirk for WNYG.
So was the format pretty much the same down in New York?
Pretty much. It's just a talk show, and I always like an uncensored bootstrap operation.
So were you calm and collected like you are now down there? What? Congress! Those guys in the engineering booth were always laughing.
No, well, actually, when I get excited about what they're doing to seniors, that's when I get excited.
Absolutely.
The idea that they're now going to cut back on the COLA, my God, $600 per senior is going to go out the window when they've already cut it back to where you're getting 50% of what you got 10 years ago.
Right.
Good God. Seniors, get used to this stuff. Cat food.
I knew it was coming in.
That's what you're going to be able to afford when you're living in your children's cellar. God help us. That's what Congress is doing to you. And they don't care. They're all rich, powerful. What do they care? They run the works. All right. In the meantime, I don't know. We got something here. What do you got? This is Chris Burt, and he's one of our champion engineers around here, and he's a student off and on at Fredonia, and he's having a great time. Go on. You're on.
All right, Reed, I just wanted to point out 3 separate things here. First of all, you were talking about computers today with me this morning about how you can't find a computer. And I noticed it's a lot harder to go to Walmart. All you see is these new Windows 8 computers, and trust me, the interface on them is not that great. There's lots of programs you can buy, but when you're buying a computer, do you really want to buy another $25 in programs?
Chris, what do you mean by interface?
The user interface, the way it looks and stuff like that. If everyone's understand, there's like a little start button and stuff. They completely get rid of that in Windows 8. It's a new way. I was showing my dad the other day. Once you click into an app, there's not really an easy way to get out of that app. There's no like close button that you would assume to be there.
You just got to reboot to get rid of it, huh?
More or less.
Oh, jeepers.
It's a really bad thing. They didn't really think about it. They were just trying to move it onto this tablet.
Do you think it'll last that way, or are they going to fix it?
Oh no, they're planning on moving on and removing even more things and doing a whole bunch of other things here in the very near future with a new code name called Windows Blue or something like that. So they're just planning on pressing forward. They're just going to probably end up driving themselves into the ground, just like IBM and all that.
Well, what annoys me is they stopped giving support for the older ones. And so you're stuck with Vista, which I've got now. There's no support for it.
Yeah. There's a lot of them, like Windows XP, which...
That was a great program. I like that one.
Right. We still use that here at the studio. They have... will you stop talking to him, please? Sorry, my father's over there just talking away. It's usually what he does. But when they have support things, Windows XP, they had to keep extending it because people didn't like Windows Vista. But with Windows 7, they are planning to end their support on time. But trust me, it's another 6 years away or something like that with extended support. Okay. Because I looked this up just today. They can still sell computers preloaded with Windows 7 up until October 25th, 2014.
I just bought one.
And you can still buy computers, or buy the little box, the $150,000 box that has the DVD there until 2013, October. So you can still get it. If you go onto sites like HP, Dell, and stuff, they have new little places on there designated for Windows 7 versus the Windows 8 computers. A couple other things I wanted to talk about. Reed was talking about the cloud and online stuff like that. I just wanted to mention 3 services that are completely free. They're Evernote, Dropbox, and SkyDrive. SkyDrive is a Microsoft thing. Evernote and Dropbox are both their own programs. They have apps for iOS, Android, stuff like that.
These are places where you can save your information.
Exactly. The idea with the cloud is that you can save your documents up there, so in case your computer dies, you can always go back and find them, rather than just keep emailing them to yourself, which I seem to still do. Even though, anyways. Survival. That's usually the simplest thing for me to do. But these are places you can set them up on your computer. Some of them even auto-sync. They offer like 5 gigabytes of storage, which for a document, that's at least 1,000 or more documents per gigabyte. So you can store almost 5,000 documents up there. So you can store important information, stuff like that.
Okay, now repeat them. Dropbox?
We have
Evernote?
Evernote, Dropbox, and SkyDrive.
SkyDrive. SKY?
Yes, here, I'll give you this. You can just have that.
Yeah, well, I have to store my stuff. I'm starting a new computer up. And cloud costs money. But these 3, they're cheap, huh? And they'll take a million gigabytes? I mean...
they're a fair amount of space, yeah. So you can... The one other thing you want to make sure, though, is your password. More and more nowadays, hacking is becoming a thing, especially off of China. They love to hack everything. I mean... You've got the government now trying to hack the messages services of Apple's iPhones and stuff, and they just announced the other day they can't because they're so encrypted, which is a good thing. But the one thing you want to do is make sure that your passwords are very secure. Even if you write them down on the side of your computer, that way people don't have access to them. Simple passwords like 123 or your name or even birth dates are very important that you don't use those because they can easily be guessed by hackers who know your name, who can find out certain information. And, you know, online, make sure that you have a secure connection when you're doing things like social security numbers and stuff like that, because otherwise, people can hack these. They can hack secure stuff. They can hack the government. But it's much harder to do stuff like that. And your home computer, if you're using an unsecured network, if you're using an unsecured connection, they can get information like that, and next thing you know, they're taking out credit cards in your name and stuff like that. You want to make sure on the computer that you're being very safe in what you're doing. Otherwise, anybody can take it. I mean, you could have a 5-year-old from China hacking in and getting your social security number and then taking out credit cards in your name.
Now, wasn't I just trying to reduce stress here? But it goes right along with that whole safety thing, you know, to think ahead about, you know,
right. You want to make sure
technology,
that
you got to be safe about it.
Well, identity theft is broad-based. They say 20,000 a day are stolen or whatever in the nation or around the world. It's becoming a big deal.
I think more surprised you'd be is how many of these identity protection companies are the ones that end up taking it, because you're giving them willfully your information.
And they say they're not that good anyway, I've heard.
Yeah, most of them, they can't really prevent it. They just sort of say they can.
Yeah, they tell
you.
you.
An insurance plan, actually.
A couple things coming up here on Channel 5. This week, obviously, we have the Safety Education Village Easter Carnival.
All right.
Next week, we have a program called Dialogues coming in from SUNY Fredonia. And then I still have to talk with Chuck, but we have a homeowner education workshop, Improve Wastewater Management for Lakeshore Communities, that was over at the Hughes Bosey Center at the beginning of March. We'll be airing sometime, I think it's the end of April, early May, we're deciding on.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
We'll get those dates for you shortly.
Evernote, Dropbox, SkyDrive, if you want to store your stuff. I got one last phone call, and then we'll be off the air. Good morning, caller.
I'm just calling in to say I enjoy your program very, very much. And in lieu of when you were talking about the birds, has anybody seen any robins? And are the hawks flying over Ripley yet?
Well, I've seen robins all over the place.
The Ripley Hawk Watch folks are up there right now.
Right now?
Yeah, I've seen them the last few days.
Yeah, well, eagles and hawks and all these big birds come flying through there. And incidentally, if you have one American eagle feather, even a little tiny feather, $100,000 fine and a year in jail.
And I hope they don't molt in my yard, because I wouldn't know the difference.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't know the difference between an American eagle feather and a blackbird feather, so to speak.
Yeah,
so
well, the worst
if they
part
molt
is
in my yard, I've got a problem.
The worst part is it's not just the American bald eagle; it's also the golden eagle. And who the hell knows what their feathers look like? But they're all over the place.
Get the book.
I'm going to send one to every congressman. That's what I'm going to do, and then blow the whistle on them.
Better do it. Don't put a return address on it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the robins are definitely up on the hill. They made their way about a week or two ago.
I have seen a robin, but I was wondering if
I've seen them hopping all over the place.
Okay.
There you go.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, and have a real
day. For calling in, and I hope you have a great day and watch them birds.
And enjoy this wonderful weather.
Okay. Whoa. Wonderful weather.
It's supposed to get to 50
Thank
today.
You, caller. We get the craziest calls sometimes. Okay, John, I wanted to wrap up. Is there anything you want to say? You got a minute now.
Going back to what I was saying is, we can get preoccupied sitting at home, especially in the wintertime, any of us, and we start to fret and worry about everything. But going back to your meditation, what I was talking about birds, the whole thing is just find something to do, keep busy. I had the good fortune to play for the Mayville Seniors. What a great group you were talking about.
You play for the senior groups, and then you don't charge them either.
Well, sometimes we do. It depends. It just depends on the organization. Some are, if they're not for profit, but some we do. But the point is get out there, socialize. You'll feel better. You get out and take a walk, do nature study, whatever it is. Just get out of the house. It's too easy to get locked in there and get depressed and frustrated and stressed out and eating cat food and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
Sure,
John.
you bet.
They're telling us something right now. We're out of here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry the last caller we didn't get you, but hell, we'll catch you next week. Just call in, The number is easy to remember. It's 753-JACK, like jack your phone in. There you go. I wanted to thank Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Remaker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, and last but not least, John Hamels. Doc.
The Doc.
The Doc. All right, get out there and have a good day. It is going to be nice and warm and flowery, and hopefully you'll have a great Sunday tomorrow. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.